Hello, so today we're going to start the still life, and our learning objective for this assignment is to identify and create a center of interest. And so what we're going to do is we're going to leave the background and the table just black and white, and the only thing that we're going to color in is the still life, the bowl of fruit, and that'll be our center of interest. That's where your eye is going to go. That's what you're going to see first are the colors, and that's what makes it stand out. So the way that we're going to start this assignment is you're going to start with a white piece of paper. And use a ruler to draw a line across horizontally. Well, let's get our name on the paper first. Name and the day you have art. Day A, day B, day C. Flip your paper over and then use a ruler to draw a horizontal line going across your paper to separate the table from the wall. And then I have tag board patterns for you to use for your still life. So you're going to start with your bowl. You can put it high up on the table, but don't set it right on the edge. It's going to overlap the horizontal line, and you're going to trace around that shape and then erase the horizontal line that's inside the bowl shape. Now if you want to draw your own shape for your bowl, go right ahead. You do not have to use the pattern at all. You can draw your own. It can be more round. Make sure it has a somewhat flat bottom for it to sit on the table. If it was a complete circle or a complete semicircle, that wouldn't look very realistic. It would look like the bowl would rock around. And then I do have tag board patterns for fruit shapes. If you want to draw your own, again, you are welcome to do that as long as you do it neatly. I want you to create some depth and some space by having some shapes overlap. I like to start with the bananas because they're kind of an odd shape compared to the other fruit shapes. And I just make sure they fit inside the bowl, and I only draw the parts of them that stick out the top of the bowl to save me some erasing. If I were to trace this whole entire banana all the way down into here, then I would have to erase all of that down there. So I think I'm gonna add another one hanging here. Make sure you don't have any fruit sticking out the side of the bowl. That wouldn't look very realistic. An orange. Now I could put the orange in front of the banana and trace the part of the orange from the top of the bowl all the way to the other side of the bowl and then erase the line from the banana, or I could just start at the edge of the banana and draw a line, and that'll save me some erasing. I try not to have any kind of little opening triangle parts with my bowl of fruit. It's just something that I try to avoid, so it looks like it's down deep in the bowl, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. So now I have these smaller fruits. I could do another pear, but I definitely want to get an apple in here somewhere. So I am going to have to be doing some erasing because I want this apple to be kind of up front. So this line inside the apple I've got to erase. And then I add the little dimple or divot on the side of the orange. I'm going to add a stem, and then I need to erase inside the stem, add another stem for this apple, and erase inside the stem. And that's probably enough fruit. I could definitely add some more if I want. I could add another pear here or another apple, but that's good enough. You could also set some fruit laying on the table next to the bowl if you like. Really, it's just however you want to compose your still life. And remember, the definition of a still life is items that an artist sets up to draw or paint that can't get up and walk away. So that these don't breathe and don't have a mind of their own to get up and walk away. So then the next thing that you're going to focus on is you're going to focus on breaking up this background space into some different areas. So use your ruler and just draw a line from the table line up to the top of your paper. And I don't draw through the fruit because that would be silly. I just have to erase that line. So I'm just going to lay my ruler down and draw some lines that break up the space. And that's probably enough. 4 spaces is plenty. The more little spaces, tiny little spaces you make, the more patterns you have to come up with and draw. So if you get about 4 areas on the wall, that's good enough. The more areas you make, the harder you make your work for you. So then I want you to fill the background and then the table with some complex patterns. These aren't simple patterns like stripes and polka dots and zigzags. They're complex. And I have a handout. I have a couple of handouts that you can use. I have this handout here that has 9 different patterns on each page, front and back, and it walks you through step by step how to do them. These two are upside down, by the way. But you start with that, and then you add a little bit more, you add detail, and it just shows you how to build on that pattern. This one down here is a nice one with lots of detail on how to build on that pattern. So these are very complex, interesting patterns to work with, and you can use this handout for some ideas. This handout has tons of ideas. You've got all of these complex patterns down here. Turn the page, more different ones in each square, and then we start to come into something similar to this that builds and shows you step by step how to build to create this pattern. And so just flip through the sheet. This has got some interesting ones. Flip through the sheet, find some that you like. This one kind of encourages you to draw on the sheets, but please don't draw on the sheets, just use them for ideas. And then more, again, as you flip through. So there are plenty of ideas that you can come up with. And you can do one of two things. You can draw the patterns with pencil first, and then color them in with marker, or you could just do marker. Now, just doing marker is really going to be a time saver, because doing it in pencil and then tracing it with marker, that's an extra step. But also, doing it with marker, if you make a mistake, you can't erase. So you're going to have to figure out how to fix your mistake. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this handout, and I want you to pick a nice pattern for your table that you don't mind doing over and over again, because that's going to be a real big space there. Alright, so I'm going to skip doing it in pencil, and I'm going to take my time and fill in as neatly as I possibly can with marker. So we start with this bumpy, and then we add some more bumps. And some can be a little bit smaller, some can be bigger. But I definitely don't want to start big and then gradually get smaller. And you might want to get like a placemat underneath your work, because I'm getting marker on my table. And just keep in mind that your pattern is going to be overlapped, so you're going to show just part of the pattern. Okay, and then little dots on the ends of each one. And then you're going to add a different pattern here, a different pattern here, different pattern here, and a different pattern here. Okay, so when you are finished with your pattern, all your black and white pattern in the background, your 4 different patterns in the background, and your 1 full pattern on the table, you're ready to start filling in with oil pastel. So I want you to pick a color for your bowl, any color you want really. I try to stay away from yellows, oranges, reds, and greens, because that's what my fruit is going to be. But if you want a red bowl, do a red bowl, that's fine. I'm going to do a purple bowl, and I'm going to use this dark purple, and so I need a light purple. Okay, and when you color, you're going to fill it in and color pressing hard with the oil pastel. If you color just normal with the oil pastel, normal pressure, it looks like crayon. So I need you to press hard to make it smooth and velvety. And I'd like you to add a slight shadow on one side of your bowl. So I'm going to add a shadow to the left side of my bowl with this darker purple. So since I decided to color my bowl purple, I got a dark and a light color out, and I'm going to use the light color for most of the bowl and dark color for the shadow. And I color side to side so that I kind of get the zigzag kind of a teeth, like 2 teeth coming together and closing up the space. So that's why I'm doing side to side. Fill that in, and then I'm going to use a dark bullet purple to fill in for a shadow on this side. And I'm going to overlap the 2 purples and make them touch, and then fill in these edges here, pressing hard. Now you kind of get these little crumblies of oil pastel on your paper, and I usually just pick up my paper and kind of tap it to get those crumblies off, and then go back and fill in some of my white spaces. If you want, you could get a paper towel and smear these. All right, and then when you do your fruit, I want you to use realistic colors for your fruit, and I would like you to add a shadow to those as well. So for my banana, I'm going to color it in yellow. I'm going to get brown to do the tip of the banana, and then maybe add a little bit of brown on one side, because you know the bananas get little brown spots on them. So for my orange, I'm going to use regular orange. And then the parts of the orange that are overlapped by the other fruit, I'm going to get a red-orange color and kind of add a shadow right where the fruit overlaps each other. And then use a little brown for the divot there. Okay, then I need brown for the stem. For my red apple, I'm going to use red. But maybe I add a little shadow at the bottom of it, because this apple's in front. So I'll just add a shadow at the bottom where the bowl touches the apple. And then maybe for my shadow I'll use red-orange. For my pear, pears are typically green in color and brown. So I'm going to add some green and then add some brown along the edges where it overlaps for some shadow. I don't want too much brown, so I think I'm going to bring that green down a little bit more. And this would be, for this pear, it would be nice to kind of be able to smear the edges of the green and the brown together a little bit to make that more of a transition. And then I've got my last banana to color in. And there you have your still life showing some emphasis or point of interest. So some emphasis, we emphasized our fruit and our still life by that being the only thing that's colored, and then the black and white pattern in the background. Good job, 4th grade.